Okay, so we all know artificial intelligence is here, and it's completely changing the game. It's creating a mind-boggling amount of wealth and making us more productive than ever before. But here's the thing. As it turns our world upside down, it forces us to face a massive question, one we absolutely have to answer.
And that question is this. Is this incredible leap forward going to be progress for all of us, or is it just going to make a select few wildly successful? I mean, are we talking about a future where everyone benefits, or one with more inequality than we've ever seen? All right, let's really get into it.
So you've got these two sides of the AI coin, right? On one side, there's this amazing promise of economic growth on a scale we can barely imagine. But flip that coin over, and the danger is just as real. We're talking about the very real possibility of widespread job displacement, which could crank up the inequality we already have to a whole new level.
So here's our game plan for unpacking all of this. First, we'll look at the huge economic shockwave AI is causing. Then we'll check out the government's big plan to handle it. After that, we'll zoom in on a real-world case study in Idaho, figure out who's winning and who's losing, bring in a cool philosophical idea to help us judge what's fair, and finally, think about how we could maybe do things differently.
All right, first things first, the economic shockwave. And look, the key thing to get here is that AI isn't some futuristic sci-fi fantasy anymore. It's here, right now, and it's a massive economic force. And when a disruption this huge comes along, you better believe we need a plan.
And, well, a plan is what we got. So let's turn to the government's huge response. They rolled out this massive piece of legislation, and let's just say it has a very memorable name.
Yep, you heard that right. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act, or OBBA for short. It was passed back on July 4th, 2025, and believe me, this thing was no small adjustment. We're talking about a sweeping attempt to reshape the entire American economy for the age of AI. It basically pulled on three main levers: taxes, investments, and the social safety net. Let's dig into each one.
Okay, so pillar number one was all about taxes. The idea was to use the tax code to kind of nudge people and businesses in certain directions. So you saw things like new deductions for car loans, some tweaks to how business interest works, and changes to childcare credits from employers. All of this was designed to steer the economy in this new AI world.
Next up, Pillar 2, investment incentives. This was a big one. The goal here was to get money flowing into areas that were being left behind. So the law went all in on this thing called opportunity zones, basically making them permanent and even creating special incentives to get investment into rural communities. They even cut the capital requirements for those rural projects in half to make them more attractive.
And the third and final pillar? Reforming the social safety net. This is where things got really interesting. The law changed the work requirements for SNAP, the food assistance program. It also introduced what it called community engagement requirements for people on Medicaid. So that was the big three-part plan. The question is, did it actually work? Let's see what happened when the rubber hit the road. To find out, we have to get out of the abstract world of policy and into the real lives of real people. And our destination is rural Idaho, because what happened there tells us pretty much everything we need to know about how this law played out.
Yeah, this quote from our source material really just nails it. Looking ahead to 2040, the picture isn't one of shared prosperity. Instead, what we see is a stark bifurcation. That's just a fancy way of saying a massive split, a fork in the road, between towns that were able to adapt and, well, those that couldn't. And this split created two totally different versions of Idaho. On the one hand, you had these booming telecommuter havens, you know the type, places with beautiful scenery that suddenly filled up with remote workers, digital nomads, and even some high-tech agriculture. Their local economies were thriving. But on the other hand, you had these declining towns. They were really struggling, losing jobs, and even though they got some of those big projects the law was designed to attract, like data centers, it just didn't help much.
Just how little did it help? Get this. One of those massive, state-of-the-art data centers, the exact kind of project OBBA was trying to bring in, it might only employ about 24 technicians. 24! That's it! A ton of money gets invested, but it barely creates any jobs for the local community.
Okay, so we've seen the result, this landscape of clear winners and losers. Now, let's trace it back. How exactly did the policy lead to this outcome?
And here's the really crucial part. This wasn't some kind of accident or an unforeseen side effect. The law was literally designed this way. It put all its chips on big capital investment and at the same time pulled back on social support for actual people. When you incentivize projects that don't create many jobs and weaken the safety net for those who lose their jobs, well, you get exactly this: a world of winners and losers, created by design.
So the big question is that fair? Is that the kind of society we want? How do we even judge a policy like that? To get a handle on this, we're going to bring in a really powerful framework from a philosopher named John Rawls.
Now, Rawls's theory of justice sounds complicated, but the core idea is incredibly simple and powerful. He said, if you want to know if a society is fair, don't look at the wealthiest people. Don't even look at the average person. Instead, you have to look at the person who is the worst off. The true test of any system, he argued, is how it treats its most vulnerable members.
To get us to think this way, he came up with this amazing thought experiment called the Veil of Ignorance. It goes like this. Step 1. Imagine you have the power to design a brand new society from scratch. You make all the rules. Step 2. Here's the catch. You have to design it from behind a veil of ignorance, meaning you have absolutely no idea what your place in that society will be. You don't know if you'll be rich or poor, healthy or sick, lucky or unlucky. So step 3, what kind of society do you build? Rawls's bet was that you'd create a society with a really strong safety net, because you'd want to protect yourself just in case you ended up being the person who needed it most.
Okay, so let's take that idea and apply it. What if we looked at our AI-powered future through that Rawlsian lens? What would a policy designed to survive the veil of ignorance test actually look like? Well, for one thing, it would look pretty much like the opposite of the OBBBA. Instead of focusing on capital, a Rawlsian policy would focus on people. You'd strengthen the social safety net, not cut it. You'd reverse the changes to things like SNAP and Medicaid. You'd probably expand unemployment insurance, maybe even add waivers for work requirements that make sense. You might even start seriously considering ideas like a guaranteed minimum income. The whole goal would be to make sure that the immense wealth from AI actually benefits everyone, especially those at the bottom.
And that really gets to the heart of the matter, doesn't it? This whole debate isn't actually about the robots or the algorithms. The technology is just a tool. The real debate is about us. It's a debate about our values. As AI generates all this incredible wealth, the fundamental question becomes, how do we choose to share it?
Which leaves us with the big final question, the one we all have to wrestle with. As our technology creates more wealth than any time in human history, what is the fairest way to share it? What kind of world do we actually want to build with these amazing new tools? That right there is the conversation we need to be having.